Time now for the front page for Thursday, August 24th, 2023. The GOP debate leading the news everywhere possibly in the entire world. The Republican candidate sparred over Trump, the war in Ukraine, and abortion. And this is how USA Today sees it. 8 Republican presidential candidates battled Wednesday over Ukraine, abortion, and the January 6th Capitol riot as they gathered in Milwaukee for the first primary debate of the 2024 presidential election cycle. With frontrunner Donald Trump absent, Vivek Ramaswamy took a lot of heat. Mike Pence called him a rookie. Chris Christie attacked him as an amateur. Ramaswamy said his business background was a better asset to lead a revolution, that is a quote, and pitched himself as someone who could offer a new generation of leadership. Nikki Haley ripped into Ramaswamy for saying the United States should cede eastern Ukraine to Putin. Quote, "You have no foreign policy experience, and it shows," unquote. Trump's name finally came up about an hour into the debate. The candidates were asked, would you support Trump if he is convicted? Most candidates raised their hand. By the way, Christie raised an objection. Mike Pence got back up on the issue that he has been the biggest weight on his candidacy, or what was the biggest weight on his candidacy, his refusal to interfere in the congressional counting of electoral college votes on January 6th, 2021, as President Trump is purported to have wanted. Most of the GOP candidates said they would still support Trump even if he is convicted of crimes and still wins the Republican nomination. They also said GOP voters are tiring of all the drama surrounding the former president. Quote, "We have to face the fact that Trump is the most disliked politician in America," unquote. That was from South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. "We can't win a general election that way." 2 GOP candidates, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, again said that Trump's indictments disqualify him from leadership of the party or the nation. Quote, "Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct," unquote, said Christie, drawing boos from the crowd at a sports arena in downtown Milwaukee. DeSantis, who is second to Trump in many polls, emerged from the debate relatively unscathed, but had no memorable quotes. This according to USA Today. DeSantis was joined by South Carolina Senators Tim Scott and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. They used the debate to promote their own platforms. For his part, President Trump interviewed with Carlson on X. Donald Trump skipped the debate stage typically relished by presidential candidates yesterday and instead appeared in an online interview peppered with his election lies, attacks on rivals, and lavish praise for the crowd of supporters he spoke to before they stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. This biased report from Associated Press. Trump, who has repeatedly brushed aside democratic norms and embraced the inflammatory throughout his political career, said he was sitting out the first Republican presidential debate in Milwaukee because his poll numbers showed him far ahead of his rivals. Instead, he used a pre-recorded interview with former Fox News host Tucker Carlson to make his case that everyone but him is irrelevant. In the most inflammatory exchange, Trump seemed to indulge a suggestion from Carlson that Trump's political opponents might try to end his life. Quote, "They are savage animals," unquote. "They are people who are sick, really sick. You have great people in the Democrat Party. You also have great people that are Democrats. But I've seen what they do. I've seen the lengths that they go to." The interview with Carlson was posted last night on X, the website formerly known as Twitter, 5 minutes before the debate aired. Trump attacked some of his rivals early, calling former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson nasty, cited him as an example of someone who should not be on the debate stage, along with former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Both Christie and Hutchinson have been critical of Trump and said that he should not be running for president. Trump said that it is beneath him to appear with other candidates on the Milwaukee debate stage because of his large lead in the polls. His ongoing feud with Fox News Channel, which hosted the debate, also seemed to cement his decision. Quote, "Do I sit here for an hour or two, whatever it's going to be, and get harassed by people that shouldn't even be running for president? Should I be doing that on a network that is not particularly friendly to me?" Unquote. If you'd like to see the Carlson interview, the former president sat down with Tucker Carlson. It can be seen on X. All you have to do is go to X, search Tucker Carlson, then look for episode number 19. News from the states today. California, 3 were killed and 2 are in critical condition after a bike bar shootout. This from CNN. At least 3 people have been fatally shot, 6 others injured at a beloved Southern California biker bar, according to authorities, in the latest of more than 460 mass shootings this year in the United States. The attacker, believed to be a retired law enforcement officer, was killed at the scene after gunfire exploded around 7 p.m. Wednesday at Cook's Corner, Orange County Undersheriff Jeff Halleck said. It's an absolute tragic event, something that I know is probably weighing very heavy on the hearts of the entire Trabuco Canyon community. It's a staple here, talking about Cook's Corner, the biker bar. Out of Idaho, the trial for college killing suspect Brian Kohberger has been delayed indefinitely. The capital murder trial for Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 Idaho college students last fall, will be delayed indefinitely. Kohberger's trial had been set to begin October 2nd, less than 6 weeks away. ABC News continues with its report that the trial will be postponed after he waived his right to a speedy trial. That's Kohberger. In court yesterday afternoon, the judge accepted his waiver. Kohberger defense attorney Ann Taylor said more time was needed to effectively present their case that would be possible by October 2nd. Washington State. Seattle will try alternative response teams for 9/11 responses. 911 calls in Seattle could soon be answered by unarmed crisis responders instead of police officers through a new alternate response team. Councilwoman Lisa Haybold made the announcement on Friday. They're beginning to hire the first new 6 positions for a pilot program to provide for unarmed crisis responders to respond to certain emergency calls. Quote, well, I'm usually complaining about how delayed we are and how frustrated I am. We're not meeting our benchmarks for developing this program, unquote. But today, she goes on, I'm really, really happy to report the city is hiring for the first 6 positions for its pilot alternative response team. It's going to be a way for 911 operators to dispatch calls to somebody other than police, somebody other than fire, a crisis responder who is unarmed, said Herbold. Out of Ohio, a school bus crash left 1 student dead, at least 23 hurt on the first day of school. This from Fox News. A school bus in Ohio loaded with dozens of elementary school students on their way to the first day of classes crashed along a roadway. This happened Tuesday morning when a minivan sideswiped the bus. It killed 1 child, injuring at least 23 others, according to authorities. The bus had 52 students on board as it made its route northeast of Dayton around 8:16 a.m. This, according to Sergeant Tyler Ross of the Ohio Highway Patrol, telling reporters. At that time, Ross said a Honda Odyssey veered from the left lanes of Ohio State Route 41 into the side of the school bus, whose driver tried to avoid the minivan. 1 child was killed at the crash after being ejected from the bus as it rolled over. Out of Georgia today, Fox News reports a federal district court judge turned down requests from 2 co-defendants in the Georgia racketeering case involving former President Trump to transfer jurisdiction of their cases to federal court. Judge Steve Jones of the Northern District of Georgia issued 2 simultaneous orders yesterday, denying the request from former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and former Department of Justice Civil Division Chief Jeff Clark. Meadows and Clark requested in their motions their cases be transferred and for the court to allow them to avoid arrest in the case. Quote, nothing Mr. Meadows is alleged in the indictment to have done is criminal per se, arranging Oval Office meetings, contacting state officials on the president's behalf, visiting a state government building, and setting up a phone call for the president. Counsel for Mike Meadows wrote in a court motion filed August 15th. One would expect a chief of staff to the president of the United States to do these sorts of things, unquote. Another quote, Mr. Clark asked the court to either grant a stay or temporary restraining order against Fulton County or to grant an administrative stay, as we have described below. This was counsel for Clark in a motion August 21st. If the court grants a stay, Mr. Clark would not need to be put in the choice of making a rushed travel arrangement to fly to Atlanta, or instead risking being labeled a fugitive. However, Judge Jones denied the request, stating that in the Meadows order that the clear statutory language for removing a criminal prosecution does not support an injunction or temporary stay prohibiting Georgia's enforcement or execution of arrest warrants against Meadows, President Trump's former chief of staff. In Florida, a teen was arrested for bringing a gun to class on the first day of school. This from Newsmax. Students in one Florida high school spent their first day in lockdown after police received an anonymous tip that a 15-year-old had brought a gun to school. This according to the Messenger News. The teen from North Lauderdale was arrested around 1:15 p.m. Monday at Coconut Creek School after the gun was found in his backpack, according to police. The 9mm Glock was loaded, had been shown to other students who informed school security about the incident. This, according to police, telling NBC 6 News. The 15-year-old now faces charges of carrying a concealed weapon, possession of a firearm by someone under 18, and causing a school lockdown. In international news today, from USA Today, Evgeny Prigozhin, an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin until launching a failed insurrection with his Wagner Group mercenaries in June, was aboard the private jet that crashed yesterday northwest of Moscow. This according to Russian aviation agency Rosaviasta. All 10 people aboard the flight from Moscow to St. Petersburg, 7 passengers and 3 crew members were killed when the plane came down about 185 miles from the capital. This according to officials cited by Russia's state-run news agency TASS. Prigozhin, 62, was listed as a passenger. It was initially unclear whether he was aboard the flight, which went down in a field in the Tver region. A Telegram post in the Wagner-linked Gray Zone channel said Prigozhin died as a result of actions of traitors to Russia. Fox News reports that Russian villagers who witnessed the crash of Wagner chief Evgeny Prigozhin's jet said they heard an explosion before seeing the plane plummet out of the sky. And finally, out of Japan, ABC News reports that Japan is beginning a decades-long process of releasing treated wastewater from the 2011 Fukushima nuclear power plant meltdown into the Pacific Ocean. This will begin today. The decision, the latest in a long process of cleaning up one of history's worst nuclear accidents, has faced significant opposition. Concerns range from environmental risks to impacts on fishing. The discharge process is projected to last for decades, perhaps as many as 40 years.